So in the past 6 months, I have had 219 sales calls. And in this video, I would like to share my experience and the onboarding process that I've built so far in my agency. Now, just if you guys are wondering, I get the clients from my personal brand on TikTok, and I would let them schedule a call with me through Calendly. So as you can see, this is the onboarding process. First of all, we would have a discovery call with the prospect, and after I hop off this call, I would gather all the requirements and I would schedule another call with this prospect in order to do a consultation call, so a more in-depth call where I ask a few questions, and it's also a very good way to make sure that I close this client, because the more calls, essentially, the more I build up a relationship with this client and the more chance there is to closing this client. So after that, I would do a quotation and an invoice so we can either proceed or not. So essentially, the second call would be, first of all, to ask a few questions and to build up more rapport with this client. Okay, so this is the discovery call, and this is where I get to meet the client and see what their business is about and why did they decide to hop on this call in the first place. So I would meet the prospect, I gather all the basic info, and it's important to record the meeting. That way I can go back at it and watch it again and see if I missed out on anything, and I would type in all the details. Okay, so then I would hop off this call and I would gather all the requirements and even decide if I want to work with this client or not, because sometimes the scope of work is very complex, and so I would decide not to proceed with this client. Now, I would gather all the requirements, like I said, and I would put them on a CRM like Notion or Asana, where I just put the bullet points of what the project is about. I would get a pretty good understanding and I would tell the team what the project is about. Okay, so now you guys can hop on the consultation call, but before that, I would go back and forth with the client on a group chat. So whether it's like on Slack or WhatsApp, it honestly depends on the client's requirements. And plus, you can actually prepare the clients to hop on a second call from the first meeting that you guys do. So that's exactly what I do. First call, I hop off, gather all the requirements. I would create a group chat with the client. So on WhatsApp or on Slack, it honestly depends on what the clients want to use. And I would schedule a call with them. The second call, the consultation call, I would get the team to join with me, so it looks like, the whole team that would hire the conversions. If you guys are still alone, it doesn't really matter. That's what I did in the beginning. And so I would get started by establishing some rapport. So I wouldn't directly dive into it, so dive into the questions. I would build up that relationship first. I would show the client that I'm interested in him, and that way it will build up my relationship. And then what I do is I start asking like the questions and everything that is needed to form the quotation. And essentially, yeah, that's the consultation call. And so what I would do now is I would do the quotation, I would put the services and break down the prices. And something that you can do from the beginning is in the first call, you can ask the client for his budget, so you can kind of understand how much is he willing to pay. That way you don't have to waste your time just doing all that until you discover that he's not willing to pay a lot. So yeah, you can just do that. It will save you a lot of time. And so the quotation that I do, I just put it in a PDF and I would break down the services, like the details. I make it unique for the client, so I would just put all the requirements and I would put the prices, plus I would have the terms and conditions, and that's very important to save a lot of headache later on, like throughout the project. And pretty much the last thing that you would need to do is create an invoice. You can either use a software or use a Google Sheet template, and you pretty much do like the invoice. That would be it. So guys, that's literally all the onboarding process that has worked for me, and I've been able to have a high close rate. Let me know if you guys have found this video helpful, and I would like to do more.